Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Monday, the 22nd of Sha'ban 1445, corresponding with the English date, 4th of March 2024. This Majlis took place at the residence of Hazrat Wala, Baytul Azkar. Hazrat Wala starts off with the ayat of the Quran Majid, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya, fadkhuli fi ibadi, wadkhuli jannati. Hazrat Wala says the ayat that I recited. Hazrat Tanvi has this particular kitab in his khas kitab. This kitab I have been reading and people have been listening to for many years now, and it just seems not to be coming to an end. It's just not finishing this kitab. And the fact of the matter is this kitab is of that caliber, that no matter how much you read and how much you go through, each of the topics are like that. There are three types of nafs: the nafs ammara, the nafs lawwama, and the nafs mutma'inna. The nafs mutma'inna is referring to the low-lying land, al-munhafidu min al-ard, the low-lying earth. Now, that is nafs mutma'inna, when a person lowers himself so much as the ground and the earth that we walk and trample upon, the low-lying land. It is then that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then calls him that, come, now it's your time to return and come back to me. Allahumma inni as'aluka nafsan bika mutma'inna tu'minu bi liqa'ik wa tarda bi qada'ik wa taqna'u bi 'ata'ik. Oh Allah, I ask you for nafs mutma'inna, for the contented soul. Such a nafs mutma'inna, such a nafs, such a contented soul that believes in meeting you, tu'minu bi liqa'ik wa tarda bi qada'ik, and it is happy with your decree and decision, wa taqna'u Allahumma inni as'aluka nafsan mutma'inna, nafsan bika mutma'inna tu'minu bi liqa'ik wa tarda bi qada'ik wa taqna'u bi 'ata'ik, and it is contented with your gifts and whatever you give. Now this nafs mutma'inna, it is indeed a very, very great ni'mat. Now a person has pride, arrogance, self-conceitedness, kibr, ananiyat, etc. What will he do? Where will he reach? These type of qualities remain with a person right till the end. Jisne mitaya apna naam o nishan, haft iqleem ka bana sultan. Hazrat Maulana Mohammad Ahmad Saheb used to say, the person who lowered himself erased all his traces. He was humble to the furthest extent. He left no traces of his name, no signs of it. Such a person then reigned supreme and became the leader or the ruler of the entire world, meaning then Allah Ta'ala gives him such a type of acceptance. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah also to the same meaning used to say, मैं तो अपना नाम और निशा मिटा बेटा, शोहरा उड़ा दिया मेरा किसने. Listen, I sat down, erasing all signs of myself and traces. I just wonder who spread this fame about me. Who's going around spreading this fame about me? Now Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Saheb, Hazrat Wala is saying, हमारे शेख वाकई अपने को मिटाए हुए. Most definitely how he humbled and lowered himself, self-effacement, annihilation of the nafs. Now, his Sheikh used to say, he's saying about his disciple and his murid, referring to Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab. What did he say? कि Muhammad Ahmad जैसे किसी ने अपने को मिटाया. Tell me, did anybody humble himself, self-effacement, annihilation of oneself, did anybody carry this out to the level of Muhammad Ahmad? Now this was the words of praise that he had regarding his student. Now all the great ulama, great ulama, they came to the feet of Hazrat Haji Imdadullah rahimahullah to take the pledge and the allegiance. And when that happened, Hazrat Haji Imdadullah said that first I used to ask my masail from Maulana Mohammad. But now you people have come, so I will ask my masalas. I will present it to you and I will ask them the answers from you. Now just look at that. Look at his humbleness and look at his hal and his state. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah never used to spread out his legs, even when he used to retire to bed. And somebody said to him, Hazrat, why don't you stretch out your legs? Then he went on to say that, tell me, is it right for a slave to stretch his legs in front of his master? Meaning, how can I stretch my legs in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's the amount of huzur and ever presence that he had of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his heart. So he was the teacher, fanaki muallim, of annihilation of the nafs, of self-effacement, Hazrat Haji Imdadullah rahimahullah ta'ala. So much so that the Bani and the rector, founder of Darul Uloom Deoband, Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Qasim Sahab Nanotwi, becomes his murid, and he still goes on to say that I made ruju and I turned my attention to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, came to him for my islah, not because of his amal, rather I came to him because of his ilm. Allahu Akbar. Now, you know that person who's got his earthen pot connected to the ocean. Now tell me, will he ever have a shortage? Will such a person ever have a shortage? Never ever. Because his connection is with that of an ocean, meaning that person whose connection is from that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Will there ever be a shortage there? No, he's being inspired directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. तो रब्द पैदा करने की ज़रूरत है. There is a need to create this connection with saintly and pious people. Allah Ta'ala apne ko pehchanne ki tawfiq de. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of recognizing ourselves. For man arafa nafsahu arafa rabbahu, the one who understands his own makeup, he recognizes himself. Indeed, such a person has recognized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, man arafa nafsahu bil jahl, arafa rabbahu bil ilm. Whoever understands himself with that of ignorance, then he would understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with knowledge. तो जिसने मिटाया अपना नाम और निशा, हफ्त इक़लीम का बना सुल्तान. Now Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, what we would say in terminology, he was not an alim, meaning that he didn't do the Dars-e-Nizami or those selected books. But Darul Uloom Deoband was not even present at that time. Rather, with his du'as, Darul Uloom Deoband came into existence. So, these people went. And how come they came to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah? They came to him because of the wealth and that treasure that he possessed in his bosom and in his heart. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say that people went to Hazrat Maulana Tanvi and somebody went there and they had their focus on this particular sifat and that particular quality, or this of Hazrat and that of Hazrat. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said, when I went, my thing was, I turned my attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I had my gaze on his heart. That, oh Allah, what dawlat this individual and this personality has in his bosom and in his heart. Bless me with that treasure and that dawlat. Now they all bowed down and they came so that they could achieve this treasure. So this ilm rasmi, customary ilm, is just confined to that of qeel and qal, and neither does it have any type of kayfiyat in it, nor does it have any type of hal. So man arafa nafsahu bil jahl arafa rabbahu bil ilm. The person who recognizes himself with ignorance will recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with knowledge. Man arafa nafsahu bid du'f arafa rabbahu bil quwwah. The person who recognizes and understands himself with that of weakness will recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with strength and with quwwat. So the asal and the essence is to annihilation of oneself, self-effacement. Allah Ta'ala buzurgo ki ma'rifat. Allah Ta'ala bless us with the ma'rifat of the Buzurgan Deen, how they lowered themselves. Now just look at that. Hazrat Wala is repeating that point again, that they came to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah stating that they want to become bad to him. And look what he says in return, I am so glad that you people have come. Now I can ask you of my masail. To this level. But Allah had blessed him so much. But then to look at how he lowered himself. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab went to relieve himself on one occasion. After exiting, in fact, many times he would do this. He would come, exit from istinja, and then his first impression, we would be sitting there, ready to attend to him and serve him now in getting everything ready for his wudu. And then he would go on to say, just look at me, I was unable to even keep the dela, qaluk, this sandstone in my hands. Even that fell out of my hands. Now look at how he's understanding himself with weakness. And this was definitely the ma'rifat that Allah Ta'ala had blessed him with. But he was turning our attention to this. Sometimes when water would be in front of him, or he would open up the null and the tap, he would go on to say, see how much of ease Allah has given us. Think about the old days when people would go for so many miles and kilometers on end just to get some bit of water. Tamutu qabla an tamutu. Humble yourself, lower yourself completely and totally before you even pass away. Annihilate yourself before you pass away. Hazrat Tanvi on one occasion mentioned in his Majlis that such people come to my gathering that are completely ghafil and oblivious regarding the dunya and what it contains. When he said that, Hazrat Khaja Aziz al-Hasan Madzoob said, Mauli Wasiullah, Hazrat, aapko keh rahe? Hazrat is referring to you when he is saying this. Now, himself, he was a man of such great capacity himself. He did not attribute that to himself. Allahumma inni as'aluka nafsan bika mutma'inna. Oh Allah, I ask you for nafsan mutma'inna, that contented nafs, that believes in you and is happy with your decree and your decision and is contented with your gifts and whatever you bestow. So Allah Ta'ala bless us with this Sifat Hamida, this salient, beautiful, good characteristics and Sifat which our Akabirin had to such a great extent. Now, up till where do I talk and how much do I tell you about this? Hazrat Maulana Gangohi, Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb, how can I tell you and what do I tell you about all of this here? On one occasion, Maulana Qasim Saheb said to Maulana Gangohi that you are an Imam of the Juziyat. Now look at how they recognized one another and how they praised and acknowledged one another. Immediately Hazrat Gangohi said, then if that's the matter, that's Juziyat. That's just the bottom where we take out the masalas. But you are an Imam of the Kulliyat and the Usul. You are an Imam and a professional when it comes to that of the Usuls and the principles. On one occasion, somebody is calling out for Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb and they saying, Maulana, Maulana. Eventually they catch up with him and they say, but Hazrat, for such a long time I'm screaming for you, Maulana, Maulana. So he said, oh, I didn't know you referring to me. I don't even understand myself to be an alim. I don't even understand myself to be an alim. I thought you are calling some other person and some other alim. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was not of the opinion that he would tell an alim or some person, take the broom and start sweeping now. No, he would say for an alim that he would have to tell him this year that listen, you don't know it. Listen here, you don't have much ilm. Listen here, you don't know the answer of this. And then he would see if that person was be able to tolerate that or not. So a person who understands his ilm to be naqis, such a person in essence and in reality is kamil. Now this was the khususiyat and the salient qualities and features of our Buzrugani Deen. We are referring to fana, self-effacement, nasty, fana'iyat, annihilation of oneself. Irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiya. So the nafs mutma'inna is called back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala does not address the nafs lawwama or the nafs ammara, but he addresses the nafs mutma'inna. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say regarding Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Saheb that in the past and in the old days you would find buzrugs of this nature. Nevertheless, he would then take from under his pillow and then he would bestow and bless with 10 rupees to Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Saheb. Now what to tell you about 10 rupees back in the day, it was a considerable amount of money. So man arafa rabbahu bidhilli Man arafa nafsahu bidhilli arafa rabbahu bil'izzi. A person who understands and recognizes himself with that of disgrace will understand and recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that of izzat. Hazrat Thanvi used to always call himself a student. And today, what to tell you about today? Today, even if the student, you call him by his name or this or that, he would become upset. That why are you not calling me by Maulana? So this kitab here that we have in front of us is an amazing kitab of Hazrat Thanvi, and Hazrat Thanvi actually made tarjuma of this kitab. So this particular kitab is an amazing kitab that the seniors at that time said that nobody could have carried out a tarjuma of this nature other than that of Ashraf Ali referring to Hazrat Thanvi rahimahullah. On one occasion, somebody came to Hazrat Maulana Abrahul Haq Sahib and made a shikayat and complained to him regarding me. Our Hazrat Wala is saying that he quotes Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib so much, he hardly even quotes Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahib. So then, Maulana Abrarul Haq went on to say, what do you expect him to do? He was born and bred there. That's where he got his ta'aleem. That's where he got his tarbiyat. He was eventually made a son-in-law in that family. And let me tell you something also. Maulana Abrarul Haq goes on to say, you see myself, I stayed with Hazrat Tanvi. That's why I only quote Hazrat Tanvi. Now, he gave an answer on my behalf. Now, you'd find these type of people all over, that they put some talk here and they put some talk there to the seniors. Now, the most difficult point here is annihilation of that knowledge that you have, to understand that you don't have it. Sabse mushkil ilm ko mitana hai. Maulana Jami Sahib was there, and then he would scold and reprimand and this and that and the other, and then he would look at the face. So, a person on one occasion said to Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat, I would like to spend some time with you. Hazrat went on to say that, listen, that's fine, not a problem. But listen, there's some T's and C's, some prerequisites and conditions. Listen, so long as you stay here, no mukhatabat and no mukatabat. That listen, no talking and no writing anything to me. No talking and no writing. Nevertheless, some ulama came and they started speaking. In all of that, this alim then started speaking. Immediately Hazrat Tanvi said, but don't you remember the conditions that me and you had made out? Now do me a favor, go downstairs. They were in the upstairs portion of the masjid. He took him out and he said, now you can go out downstairs, you leave. Because this was not the conditions upon which I agreed and I allowed you to spend time with me. As he stood up, he said, Hazrat, but let me tell you something. He says, okay, go on, speak. What do you have to say? He says, listen, I remember it well. I did not forget the treaty and those conditions that we made. But what to do or what to say? When these alims started speaking, then I said, let me also speak. Perhaps when they see me not speaking, they'll say, who's this person? He's so jahil, he doesn't know anything. Hazrat Tanvi immediately then said that be seated. This is exactly what I diagnosed you with. This is exactly what I diagnosed you with. That's why it is for that reason that I told you, no speaking and no writing, because I knew that was your weakness. That was your weakness. यहाँ पगड़ी उछलती है, उसे महकाना कहते हैं. Here it is where we are not too much bothered of a person's honor. Meaning here you would get shouting. Here you would be reprimanded and scolded. Maybe you would even be asked to leave. पगड़ी उछलती है. The turban may even fly off the head. उसे महकाना कहते हैं. And this is what you call a place where you would get the true love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib's maslak was actually this. He would never tell people in a hurry, take the broom and start sweeping or doing this or that or the other. He says no matter how much you tell them, they'll actually do that. But if you tell him about his deficiency in knowledge, that is something he cannot tolerate. Ilm ki maar bahut sakht hai. This lash and this jerk that comes right against a person and shakes him regarding knowledge, that one proves to be very, very severe. In fact, the severest blow. Allah Ta'ala apna islah ki fikr ata farmaye. Allah Ta'ala give us the fikr, the concern of our reformation and rectification. And what to tell you and what to say to you people, Hazrat Wala is saying, मैं सबसे ज़्यादा मोहताज हूँ. I am most in need of that. I am in my last moments and last time. इलाही मकसूद है मन तू ही व रिज़ाए तू मोहब्बत व मारिफत खुद बिदे. इलाही मकसूद है मन तू ही व रिज़ाए तू मोहब्बत व मारिफत खुद बिदे. Oh Allah, my objective is you and only you. Therefore, bless me with your love and your recognition. Allah Ta'ala bless us with the ta'aleem and the tarbiyat of our mashayikh. So Hazrat Tanvi used to speak about so highly about Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab that there are such people in my gathering. They know nothing about the dunya and what it contains, what is there. They are completely ghafil about the dunya. A person came to Hazrat Tanvi's khanka and then he started with his wazaif and this and that. Immediately Hazrat Tanvi said to him, but who gave you that wazaif? Who said you must read this? When you came here and you came to spend time with me, now what type of ananiyat and ghurur is that? You come here, you come to spend time with me, then you select your own wazifa and you select your own wazaif, etc. That dear, he reprimanded that person. So understand and recognize your nafs. Understand what is your nafs all about and how much it is so self-conceited and how much of deception and ghurur, pindar, pride, etc. is in it. So understand and recognize your nafs with that of disgrace. You would then recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that of izzat. You know this kitab, the Arabic of it we got found in Makkah Mukarramah at about 2 a.m. in the morning. The Urdu came by means of Maulana Sher Mohammad. Now Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of keeping these talimat in our hearts. Now, what can I tell you about the significance and the greatness of this kitab? According to my calculation, Hazrat Wala is saying, I understand that it is this kitab that Hazrat Tanvi could have kept in front of him, from which he actually put his whole maslak and all his kulliyat and his usul that he took out. Now, we need to understand the khususiyat, the special things, the most important things and salient features, characteristics of our Buzurgan-e-Din, Hazrat Gangohi, Hazrat Nanotwi. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to quote abundantly from Amirul Riwayat. When I went to Deoband also, I mentioned this there. And I said that you may have seen the Hashia of Bukhari Sharif and this Hashia and that Hashia. But tell me, have you read Amirul Riwayat? Because people would ask, where are you talking from? What are you actually speaking? Where do you get all these waqiyat of the Buzurgan-e-Din? You know, I have prepared some kitabs from the talimat of the Buzurgan-e-Din, and you can see my health as well. There are quite a few kitabs, some are ready also to get printed. The Aqwal-e-Salaf is a kitab that I wrote very, very carefully. And I'm also scared about this year that this shouldn't be in any way some type of tafakhur, that I'm making some fakhr that I wrote this type of a kitab or that type of a kitab. Nevertheless, these sifat and these qualities that Allah Ta'ala blessed our Buzurgan-e-Din with, Allah Ta'ala embellish us, decorate us, bless us with these sifat as well. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.